Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Bull motherfucking Harris.
Before they passed told me that the reason they thought they did that was because the Hells Angels were unsure at the time of their date. And I think they're still unsure. They were trying to get to being as close as they could. Everybody knew the Outlaws to come up first, but they were neck and neck because as soon as Lou stepped out, the relationship went sour because Lou and Sonny Barger, they went and stayed at each other's house, swapping back and forth. They were very good friends up until the day Lou died. And he wasn't even in the club 20 years before he died. He just had to stand by and watch it do what it is. And not one person had called him and said, "Hey, bro, this is your club. Why don't you come on back?" They didn't do that because they knew they were running it the opposite way, which was never supposed to be involved in money. Supposed to have been taking your bikes to a track, not talking about people and your brothers. Opposed to working and riding and wrenching on your bike. That's what it says in his journal. Anything that can't be fixed between you and a brother over those two things, that tells you right there he ain't your brother, and he's here for the wrong reasons. It's so simple. What makes it so messed up is that when you start adding all these different things to it, the bells and whistles that don't need to be there, and it creates a problem. You know, you got people, mixing of part timers and full timers. It's just don't work that well. You got the part timers showing up on the weekends and to be weekend warrior, and seeing the full timers we've been getting done. Make sure that y'all are safe on the weekends, but y'all look at us like we're crazy because we've been running all week long. I mean, like myself, right there at the end, I was getting paid by the club. I did club duties, like that consists of going wherever a diamond goes. They'll pay for your gas. They'll pay for what food you are eating, and you ain't sleeping, so you don't need no room. Anything else, they'll finance the gas. You just pull up on the pump with the diamond. You'll get gas. Go, but you got to be willing to go. You can't go home. There's no going home. I about lost my family twice during my membership because my old lady's like, "Look, your kids have kind of forgotten who the you look like." And I kind of forgotten too. You need to get off the highway. And I come home and she just hugged me and said, "You look bad." Because you tell I'd been living on the road, like shit all in my beard, and I look rough. So I came back home. When I got kicked out of the club, or that side of the club, I said, like, back when they finally agreed to let me come over and do my own thing, we took something, but we gave something back to the Hells Angels. We gave them back their comma because they need it more than we do. For the simple fact of, if you're a pagan, you would know that the comma stands for "we are many," but that is could believe furthest from the truth, because to be a pagan, there is not many. There is no many. We're small but mighty, just like Surt. That's what he is, small but mighty. The 1959 is bogus. Another thing that I really wish would stop is them calling him Dirty Lou Dobkin, and they need to change the patch because his name was not Dirty. He didn't even know what. He didn't know nothing about that. His name was Diego, and his name was Diego because of his. He had a band of his. Him and Dave Hartman played in, another family member, and they called him Diego. It was Diego 1%. Actually, I have not got a picture of him wearing a cut. He never wore one when they went out together. But at that time, when they first started, they were wearing beige cuts, and they weren't wearing the denim. Hence, that's where the cloud came from. Because the first patches I showed you, they were sewn into the cut itself, the letters individually. So
Yeah.
the last brother, when they were transferring it over, Domino was the one that done it. He cut out around the letters and it put it on his new cut, and it looked like a cloud. It has nothing to do with racial purity, nothing with white supremacy, nothing, not at all. I don't know who made that up, but it has nothing to do with that, because if you want the truth, we've had African American in our club since day one. And I got back to prove that. We had two chapters full of African Americans, one in DC and one in Delaware. I'm not saying that this is how the Thunder Guards were created, but pagans bring the lightning and Thunder Guards bring the thunder. So there are our brothers of color. They are to be wherever a pagan is. They are equivalent. They are pagans, but they're not. You know what I'm saying? Very early on, we seen that we're not gonna be able to work to, and it's not gonna be able to work because time is in a world where because and the fascist thing was in, so you can imagine how some of them, the brothers felt when they would see that. But then again, you had a black pagan at the time named Joe, and this guy didn't. He would still show up to events with his pagan diamond steel and get treated badly, but he didn't care. He was in it, and I wish I could have been like that guy, man. But it's hard when you got more people doing it and doing more vicious to you. But I think he's still alive, if I ain't mistaken. I don't know. I would have to contact somebody from Thunderguard over there.
There was a
But
big fight, right? Wasn't there a big fight and the cops were involved when Lou
uh,
Dobkins was around and then he stepped away because he didn't want it to affect his job and
you're
everything?
talking about the shooting in Arlington, the Arlington
Yeah.
shootout.
June 20th, 1966. It's been a week since that mess in Arlington, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. Founding the Pagans back in '63, I never imagined we'd end up in the papers for something like this. A damn shootout in a Safeway parking lot of all places. I wasn't there that night. Not like I'll incriminate myself by saying otherwise, and neither was Dutch. But that doesn't seem to matter to the press or the cops. They're painting us all with the same brush, calling it a gang war. If only they knew how far this is from what I wanted for the Pagans. My phone's been ringing off the hook. Brothers looking for guidance, and reporters sniffing for a story. But the calls that worry me most are from work. I've spent years building my career at the NIH. Biochemistry isn't just a job. It's my passion. Now I'm terrified someone will connect Dr. Lou Dobkin, respected NIH scientist, with Lou Dobkin, founder of the Pagans. After a lot of soul-searching, I've made my decision. I'm stepping down as president of the Pagans. It feels like I'm abandoning ship, but I have to protect my career. The club needs to lay low anyway. And maybe some new leadership can help with that. I worry about the future of the Pagans. There are guys waiting to take over who don't share my original vision. They see the club as a path to power and profit. That was never what it was about for me. It was about the freedom of the road and the brotherhood of riders. I keep thinking about that Arlington kid, Wayne Hager, and his Avengers. Reminds me of myself when I was younger, always looking for the next thrill, the next fight. I hope he learns from this mess faster than I did. Tomorrow, I'll just be Lou Dobkin, NIH biochemist. It'll be safer that way, smarter. But damn, I'll miss the wind in my face and the rumble of bikes around me. The Pagans will go on without me. They'll have to. Time to trade in my colors for a lab coat. Here's hoping I've made the right choice.
Okay, that was a setup by the cops, right? All right, so this is how it went on that you won't see in the news report. See, what happened is the cops that you had you had two groups in that town. You had what they called the delegates and the fruits. Back then, they called fruits those goody two shoes. Born with a silver spoon showed up, and then you had the delegates, which were the greasers, just like the Grease movie. These guys wore jeans, smoked cigarettes, and slicked their hair back, rode motorcycles and stuff. At the time the pagans were first starting to form, they didn't care what you rode. I mean, the founding members, John Griffith, didn't even have a motorcycle, but Lou helped him get one. He said, "Well, if you're willing to help me work on it and learn how to ride it, by God, we'll make you a pagan." But where did that get lost? If you wreck your bike, you're so luck. You gotta go. But I mean, you don't take people in and ain't got bikes. Like now, if you did that, that was bogus. You know, but they helped you out. If you're willing to be around, hang around, put your time into it, they're
Yeah.
willing to get you. That's pagan. Because another thing about being a pagan is doing something when you know you didn't have to. It's being selfless for selfish reasons, because there's two type of pagans in this world: those who make mistakes and those who do nothing and complain all the time about the way it is and don't want to contribute. Because if you don't contribute the way things are and you don't like them, you're just a part of the problem. So very early on, I seen the holes. I'm a loopholist. Like I told you, I'm on one side of the vehicle, I'm over two wheels. I find the holes and stuff. I utilize them to my benefit sometimes. And I got to see some things because the club was also using, not the state was using me as like background check guy. When I first got a notion that, all right, bro, that dude right there, he's working for the cops. Oh no, bull, stop. We're digging. We know that. That's why we keep him up here. We don't keep him down there. We don't go nowhere. That way we can keep eye on him. Okay, when I was a prospect, I was told that if I found any of this out, I need to let somebody know. But please come with proof. No accusations. You need to have black and white proof. At this time, I had black and white proof that this man works for the state trooper's office. I was told to quit digging. That they knew this, that I was an RM, being RM. My heart sank to my ass. I was like, oh my God, what am I getting? What is this? What have I done? In my chapter at that time, our diamond was a former cop. I started seeing that, and I said, oh, how the f did this happen? So it starts up at leadership. Not throwing any pointing fingers, but I just did some due diligence, and y'all doing paperwork while I'm start doing y'all's. So I want to know who I'm in the room with.
Yeah.
And then when I did the research and I put some money to it, I was sickening. Like the brothers I'm pagan with, or they have committed so much of a crime that none of these top 4 clubs should take you in. They should kick you for even thinking you could come in. Like the simplest thing. Pagans don't condone that. Like over the past course of a couple months, I've heard that I've been breaking in diamonds' houses, stealing their family heirlooms. I've gunned down 3 or 4 brothers, not shot them, but shot at them and made them go down. Y'all imagination is running wild with you. I'm in some places, but I ain't at all. And I ain't actively seeking any revenge, because you just tell my brothers. But the ones that are clicking up, they know who they are and they know what they done. I ain't got to point them out. They know when I see them, it don't matter. You know
But
what you did.
you don't feel like they're out to get you? Like they're gonna actively try to hurt you?
My mom told me when I was little that if you see these kids across the street and you know they don't want to like you, they want to whoop you, and you walk over there, son, you get your whooped. That's your fault. That's the way I live my life. So if I know, I talked to thousands of pagans still. I created the Facebook page. That way, no one can screenshot this all day long and prove that you're actually talking to bull. You could be talking to any moderator of mine. Who's to say you are? So it gave them that, because at that time I got 2 brothers kicked out bad, no contact, for just liking a post on my Facebook. That is ridiculous.
How did that transpire?
You because me getting kicked out, I know what it did to my life. These brothers like just quickly moved on though. And I even was told one time I was hung up, that I need to let it go. Just, you got kicked out. No, because also I was raised that if you know you were right, don't go putting yourself out of the way to being wrong when you know you're not. And when they come to my house and did what they did to my kids there, I couldn't swallow that. Because they looked at me as the pagan dad. They were proud. They wanted to grow up themselves and be pagans, and they loved it because I was happy. But when they started seeing that stuff, like, all right, those were his brothers he was with, but now they're trying to hurt him. Well, that don't make sense. Then they started asking questions, so I had to create answers. And I wanted to be. I always wanted to be dad, the hero, but I would have been that anyway, just by being me. But I mean, one thing led to another. I won't willing to be kicked out on that notion of not being done over an Oprah Winfrey thing. Like, where do you have the legs to stand on with that? And I've asked so many Mother Club, and every one of them has told me, look, I'm sorry it happened. Your situation is a rare, unfortunate circumstance. And unfortunately, it's a dictatorship. So if he puts you out, he has to be the one to let you back. And there's been so much going on in that media time. Say like you're the old man in the house and we're all the kids out inside the yard playing. You smack Johnny, the old man doesn't see it. He peeps through the blinds every now and then, but he didn't see it. It didn't happen. So he's going to ultimately go off of his little inner circle that's out there. Just got into 4 different shootouts, just got shot 5 times, got out of prison for running up on a Hells Angel supporter on a gas pump with a stick.
Yeah, seen that.
Not very smart, 50. These people were going back to him, the old man, and they were telling him, look, Bull's fuck, he's bull. All this stuff about what pagan means and where he's coming with these dates. It was over stuff like that. They were trying to prove that I was wrong. And I'm sitting here, got proof. But like, that was not good enough, so it boiled down to jealousy. But my personal thing is I don't believe in jealousy, envy. I don't believe I have nothing to be that over. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm with me every day. I don't know what they see, but that's what it boils down to. They were jealous over because I ended up falling into that spot. I had a lot of love, and I'm one of those people, either you love me or hate me. There's no in the middle. When it comes to the club, I didn't create this idea to go to war or have anybody that gets over here to go to inherit a war with the same one you used to be. Most of us used to be or still are. Ain't no used to be. But I mean, we have just much right to be pagan, right? And we didn't get put out for something like what you got put out bad decades ago, stealing your brother's old lady, getting a brother locked up, snitching or something like that. That was it. Now you get put out bad, no contact. I was told I was out extremely bad for taking up for my family, for defending my family in the middle of the night. By some at the time, I've seen strangers beat down my door. That does not seem fair. So my old lady's looking at me now. The old ladies look at you like you can just take this. No, sir, we ain't about to just take this. I'll ride it all the way out. So I started asking Grandma, and Grandma, she gave me the ammo, and I tried to sit there. I think I sat there for weeks trying to figure out how the f I'm gonna do this. I ain't got a boombox, and I went out and shed and found one. And because I don't even think you buy those things from Walmart anymore.
Yeah.
Like CDs are obsolete. So I was sitting there. She taught me how to do screen recording. So I would lay the phone next to the boombox, and then she taught me about CapCut. She said it'll do all the little basic things you need to do it. So that way it can be heard. Now, I mean, if you listen to some of the video, I mean, the audio is like it's tweaked. You can hear it's raspy. I mean, it was over the course from 1961 to 1989, and I was on a Panasonic recorder. I was told he carried that thing around with him like a pocketbook. I was given several boxes full of just miscellaneous tapes. And, they're in the little cassette, little plastic cassette thing. They're all labeled. 3 labels is one for public, one for private, and one for me. Sandy, she says that she's never heard all of them together, so she didn't know really what was up there, but she knew enough to say to be careful.
Lou Diego Dobkin, the dates, March 5th, 1966. In the world of one-percenter clubs like the Pagans MC, being labeled difficult is common for those who aren't blind followers. True leaders in our ranks, like those I steered the Pagans with since our founding in January of '64, understand the difference between questioning authority and seeking understanding. I placed our club's rules once I grasped our overall purpose. It's easier to respect the rules when the bigger picture can be seen and felt versus just being told. Just as I honor our traditions of brotherhood and loyalty. My stance on taking legal risks for the club is uncompromising. Having seen the inside of a cell like many pagans will after me, I won't risk my freedom lightly. Our club's history will be rich with tales of sacrifice, from the Dobkin era to your future modern challenges. But if I ever find myself locked up for our brotherhood, I expect the full weight of the pagans behind me. I've witnessed brothers facing heat for club business without proper backup. This isn't the pagan way. It made me question what we truly owe each other. The dismissive responses I got weren't worthy of our fierce reputation or our all others pay cash mentality. If the club expects the kind of loyalty that's defined the pagans since the flood of every John, Dick, and Harry wanting a patch. They called it the Blue Wave days. It needs to step up. 1. Cover all legal expenses. No pagan should face a judge without a top-tier defense. 2. Take care of our families. Our patches mean we're all family. Or what's the fucking point? Without this support, no club, not even one as storied as ours, has the right to demand such sacrifices. I've seen imprisoned brothers left high and dry, their families struggling, and worse, their trust betrayed. This goes against everything we stand for, from our early days in Northern Virginia, D.C., and Maryland, to our expansion across the East Coast, down into the Carolinas to Florida. This behavior spits in the face of our traditions. Anyone arguing against the club's responsibility in these matters is either a self-serving prospect or has forgotten what it means to wear our colors. If your chapter has a history of abandoning brothers when the heat's on, why risk your neck? That's not the brotherhood I signed up for, and it's not the legacy of the pagans MC that struck fear and commanded respect for decades. I'm not challenging our ways. I'm advocating for the true spirit of our brotherhood.